Well, hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hello, Dave.
Jonathan,
Nice
I
to see
love
you.
your sweater, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. It's
Oh,
very
I love
cozy.
it. Oh, man.
Rainy day.
Okay. For all of you, this is a skating lesson. We are going to talk about everything that's been going on in skating the last week. Since last week, people enjoyed us talking, and we found that we had a lot to talk about. So I figured, why not do a show this week? Because people seem to enjoy it, even if we're just bantering and
Rambling.
Yeah, people will find it interesting. We could talk about our lives and our week. And before we get into skating, you had your concert on Wednesday night.
I
Parabens.
did. Thank you so much. And I think a lot of skating people tuned in, which I really appreciated.
Yes.
That was really nice for me.
I think they did, Jonathan. So
Yeah.
it was very good. And it
So
was
thank-
Bernstein. I enjoyed
Okay.
that. I did live
Good to
text you
know.
my thoughts. And
Mhm.
I also enjoy, I was thinking about this, I enjoy how opera singers say the word piano. Opera singers
piano?
say it a different way than piano. You know, I'm from Jersey. I was in the band. We say piano. I played the practice piano.
See, I'm from Chicago, so I have to be very careful because I would say piano. So I could also, anytime I say an A vowel, I try to warm it up because I used to get in trouble for saying F natural and that.
F
Like it was real
natural.
bad. Yeah.
The piano.
The piano.
The piano.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I say the dynamic marking piano, piano, but I play the piano.
Oh.
So to
So
me, I think
complicated.
there's a difference. I don't know. You never know.
And your friend looked like she could have hosted a pageant that was...
Oh, that's right. Amanda, you met her at my holiday party.
Yes, she's really in charge of things. So yes, very,
Yeah.
very nice. So I think you should do another one with your friend Tammy. And
Okay.
maybe we could do like a bantering, singing, sing along, you know.
100%.
A little bit of humor, a little bit of levity.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. And some skating innuendo sprinkled throughout.
Yes, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. That sounds delightful. I'll drink to that.
You could like, a couple of you could play on like a couple notes in the piano. Come and knock on our door. Yes. I'll direct the whole
Okay.
thing. It'll be great.
Great. But you also have to be Mrs. Roper.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, fine. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of that tangent, I listened to this interview that my friend Matt sent me with Suzanne Summers, and then I was rewatching the Three's Company E True Hollywood Story, which I used to love, a good E True Hollywood
The
story.
quintessential E True
Oh
Hollywood
my god.
story,
Like
if you will.
back
Yeah.
like in season 1 when they really put research and time in it, and was it on Saturday or Sunday? Whatever night it was like the E True Hollywood Story. And it would
Joyce DeWitt.
it was like
coming
dark.
for it.
Joyce
Yeah.
DeWitt was coming for it. They all hated Suzanne, and I think they had their reasons. So Suzanne, in this interview that I listened to recently, she painted it as that she just wanted to be paid what a top man was being paid, which I think is fine, right? However, in the Three's Company E True Hollywood Story version, they said that there was a clause in the contract that Joyce and Suzanne had to be paid the same, and that there was another clause that John Ritter had to be paid more than they did. So it's more complicated than her just wanting
terrible. Yeah.
more money. Then there's the whole deal that she didn't just want to be making John Ritter money. She wanted to be making what Carol O'Connor was making in All in the Family. And while I think Suzanne is very talented, I don't think she was at that level, and it has nothing to her being a woman or playing a dumb blonde. Like, he's a cultural icon, and you were a very good performer on a popular show.
Right.
But they're not the same level. And I think history has kind of proven that.
Showing us that, yeah.
And I do think maybe they could have let her merchandise things more. She does seem aggressive with merchandising over time.
Yeah, she does have a
Beyond
niche there.
her, I think her ability to market is above her ability to have talent. You know, she
Acting
doesn't
talent.
she doesn't
Yeah,
seem to
yeah.
study anything, education, medicine, acting, but seems very confident in all of it, which is another talent.
100%.
Also,
The master of the thighs. I mean,
yes.
really.
And she pulled a lot of stunts where she wouldn't show up to filming and would say that she hurt her rib and then she was performing in Vegas. So it's more complicated than Suzanne.
But I appreciate that hustle.
I appreciate the hustle. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Huh?
Suzanne. I appreciate that she is full of it, and you know.
I appreciate that you saw her in Las Vegas when we were at Skate America.
So we spotted her. Michael Shanley is a huge Suzanne Somers fan. He is just fascinated. And the thing about the Vegas time that we were there is that literally the first day that we were in Vegas, Suzanne had posted this naked photo of herself holding her breasts in a field for her birthday. And we had just been talking about her and laughing about that picture and debating how good she actually looked or not. Because everyone has to say she looks great. She's having sex how many times a day? Twice a day, right? Every time she's on the talk show, she tells the same stories. And then we saw her in person, and it was like, that's Suzanne Somers. And literally all the gamblers in Vegas, it was so smoky. They're all so addicted to gambling. No one cared but us. We were like, oh, that's
You were the only people looking up. Yeah.
So anyway, yes. But
interesting.
Anyway, a good E! True Hollywood story. It's perfect for quarantine. I recommend it. So I haven't been to the store. I'm usually like a melatonin person, and I'm trying to avoid going to the store. I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm like, that's not really essential, Dave. You can just work out and fall asleep. Today I'm going to pass out, fall asleep. But some nights, especially if I wind up napping or anything.
You like nature's help. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So anyway, it's very good to watch at the end of the night. You're like, oh, how about the cast of Dynasty or Dallas? Yes.
Let me just unwind with this absolute epic drama that's
Karen Carpenter. Dorothy's in the Karen Carpenter one. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yes. So before we get into the skating stuff, you can just do a little housekeeping here. James, so David Barba and James Pellerito were the ones who did the Be Good Johnny Weir series, and they did Pop Star on Ice, which I have linked to on our channel, and I'll link to it at the end of this video in the end screen. They have taken up different jobs and actually moved out of the city, and one is taking a course and is writing a paper and a project. So he has a whole survey based on what you thought of the characters of Be Good Johnny Weir, now that you can see it all. If you would be so kindly to fill out the survey, please do it below. I'll put it in the description box. I forgot to talk
Where
about
do we watch Be Good Johnny Weir? That was the Sundance Channel one?
That was the Sundance Channel, and it's now on YouTube. And so is that Pop Star on Ice, which the original documentary of which I had to find. So Pop Star on Ice is out of print. And so, remember, the Logo Channel bought Be Good Johnny Weir from the Sundance Channel between season 1 and season 2. But then, remember, they divided up the original film documentary into 4 episodes. But then, for some reason, it was on iTunes and then it's off. And for some reason, it's like out of print. I don't know. So I found an old copy of the DVD. I had to hunt it down, and I asked them, like, how do you get it? And they're like, well, it's kind of hard. And David told me that there's one LGBT like VHS and DVD website, and I found it, and then I like ripped it to share it with everyone. So I was like,
you are such an investigator.
I love a challenge. So
yeah, okay. It's amazing. But I remember, was Sundance like a regular channel?
No.
Because I remember watching it on my television though, and I wonder how I would have seen it unless somehow it was a part of my package.
I don't remember if it was a part of my package. Did I get it on like weird download links? Like that was back in the day.
Maybe.
When you used to like risk your computer's mental and emotional health and got some corona type virus where I remember the Downton Abbey used to air in the fall in London. I watched
Downton Abbey on illegal sites, yeah.
Yes. And I used to download it because who could wait for Downton Abbey? You can't wait for Downton Abbey. So.
I didn't. We didn't. Yeah.
And then I'd rewatch it when my parents would watch it. And then my mom would be like, don't tell me what happens. What happened?
I know. That's exactly how I would be. I need to know. The suspense is too much.
I finished Little Fires Everywhere, Jonathan. It was a moment. I recommend it. Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington does a lot of acting with her teeth. She did something with her mouth. Like, she acts with her face and her teeth a lot. She flashes them. It's fascinating.
Okay. It's a crutch in a way. Okay.
She's a tooth actress.
You know what I watched for the first time now that we're just sharing? Last night I watched Auntie Mame.
Oh.
Never seen it. I
don't
had
think
never
I have
seen,
either.
not the musical, but like the precursor, just about this like kooky, amazing woman and her nephew goes to live with her. And I was like, this is me and my nieces. I feel like you would identify.
All right.
You're like, this is the kind of aunt I am. Okay.
All right. I'm ready for it. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, I was watching something on the Rain Man twins. And
Oh.
there are these two women who are autistic savants. And they're actually from where my parents grew up. And I was watching them. They were addicted to the $100,000 pyramid and Dick Clark. But they write down all the buzzers and bells. But while we were doing that, I was working on our judging of the 2010 Olympics. And I was like, are we really that different? Like, are we that different?
Yeah, exactly. We've all got our things, honey.
Yes. I was like, I'm not judging. Okay, they
Yeah,
are.
exactly. Okay.
And they got to meet Dick Clark. Oh, it was sweet. So anyway, there was another telethon this week, Jonathan. Okay.
Oof. They just keep coming. This was like almost just Canada's answer. Yes.
But Imran, Caitlin Weaver is from Texas, and Jordan Cohen seems Canadian, but isn't. He's from America too.
It had a heavier Canadian vibe to it, right?
Well,
With Brian
Caitlin represented
and
Canada, and yeah, although no Tessa and Scott.
Well, they had Meryl though.
I mean, you can have both. Aren't we all talking at our feelings? They had Keira Corpy. They really had a great list. I couldn't make it through it.
Oh, I mean, I was just watching snippets, and again, it's a tough format for anyone.
I tried to put it on live.
Yeah. Okay,
support it.
that's a big ask.
I knew Sandra was going to be in it. I was like, oh, I'll support it.
And didn't she look as elegant as
Oh,
always?
of
with the
course.
pictures
And she
behind
just
her
sounded
and
so
the
deep,
perfectly placed hair toss. Like it was
Pictures
great.
of her son Dean, who's so wonderful,
Yeah.
who takes her to dinner, like all the Sandra things that we love.
Mm-hmm.
She was there to just make us all feel better. But
Yeah,
Tracy
very
Wilson, you know I love me some Tracy, right? She starts the show talking about the skating world. And you know, the skating world, it spans multiple generations. And we all come together. You're like, wait a second, isn't it a big rat race where everyone talks smack about each other like 90% of the time and then air kisses? Like, are we not? Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, is this not a competitive field?
Is this not like ultra competitive? And we do come together, and yet it's also ultra. I don't know. It was
okay, so we're going to talk this out because it was interesting. We were talking about how sometimes Gracie has a realness that's almost unnerving. It's so real and raw.
I would say it's unnerving at times.
Yeah, but yet also we love it because it is so raw and honest. Then there's the opposite. Meryl was doing what Meryl does, and it was as if she was quoting Tracy, but Tracy, at least,
Meryl
I believe,
seems genuine about it. Like, she squints her eyes more than usual.
Oh, see, I disagree. I think it's totally vapid when she does it, but I believe Tracy does believe some of it somewhere inside, even if it's coming across cheesy.
I do think that Meryl likes to help. Like, she seems like she's a person. I mean,
I think she's vomiting like buzz phrases that she knows are great.
Well, that's
it's great
too.
Stuff to say.
That too. Yes.
But I was like, that's so cheesy and almost insincere.
She majored in cultural anthropology. That's a lot of BS papers. Okay, Jonathan, do you understand?
Yeah. Well, and then it was interesting because Ashley Wagner was on it, and she kind of strikes the balance, though. Like, I kind of get what she was saying. She was trying to be real enough with Caitlin, where she was saying now that she's actually away from the ice, she has time to contemplate that she doesn't skate anymore. Like, she had these great planned insights ready to go, but yet also seemed conversational. I don't know. I found her.
So the problem with
interesting
Ashley's a great interview.
Yeah.
Weaver is not the most authentic interviewee. She hides a lot close to the vest, and that was part of the problem with her skating. Although I think that Weaver loves skating, works hard. She put this whole thing together. Her heart is in the right place, right?
Which is amazing.
Yes. She's very nice, but not... You have to be kind of vulnerable and push and... Right? The problem here is that all these skaters are great, right? We like them. We love them all. There are people. However...
Well,
they don't have a lot to say.
There are skaters. I don't know that there are people, and this actually
some of them are our people, some of them are our skaters, but they all came through the way they do on the ice and like more versions of themselves, right? So what I found that was super interesting is that none of us really have like super insightful things to say about the coronavirus. I mean, people that lost like a family member, like Michael Marinaro, like that's a different interview, right? Or
for those of us who are maybe the average, who just care and feel like we want to do something.
Like someone who's a nurse, someone who's that, like, you know, I'm sure someone has a mom or an aunt who's like a nurse and have more of those people put in. But 4.5 hours of people being like, we need to come together and thank the coronavirus. And it's just great that the skating community is doing this. I mean, it feels like it felt like when the Academy Awards nominates an African American, and we're just all really touched about how forward-thinking the Academy is. We've really tackled diversity this year in our...
Insisting upon themselves in a way.
Yes,
yeah.
Right? Like, that's the vibe 100%. I was getting. Like, I was like, okay, 12 Years a Slave is going to win Best Picture, and we all are not feeling white guilt this year. Okay, this is great. Yeah. Okay? Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, but it was interesting because then another one of the clips I watched was the one with Jason Brown and Brian Orser together.
Oh, that was telling.
Which very little is more awkward than that. And Jason was being Jason, and Brian, who had lit his fireplace behind him, it looked like that's why you like these things, right? Like,
you get to
even with early on with the TSL interviews, you're like, all right, Rosalind Sumner's is that kind of home decorator. Got it.
I love Roz. How dare you?
Yeah, but that's what... No, I said
that kind? I bet she loves a vase, a vase, whatever you want to call it.
A vase, yeah. But she had like the greenery. What I'm saying is like you get to know, you're like, okay, so that's what she's into. Okay, that's what this one's into. You know what I mean? Like it kind of makes it... Doug Haw, there's like a nice caricature of Sonia Henney and watercolors behind him. And you're like, got it. Okay, that's what you're into. So it is interesting sometimes to see inside of the homes. And Brian's was pretty progressively modern as he was just sort of staring blankly while Jason was pontificating about the magic of stretching yourself in spin positions and footwork instead of jumps.
All I was thinking about is Tom Piccini, who worked for the ISU, who is lovely and who loves Jason, but he'll say... Jason's really great at those spins because he's done the same spins for a decade. You know, like
and they're really good ones.
They're really good, but
they
don't change.
Where his priorities are. Yeah. And then Jason at the end was like, I work on quads and stuff too. And Brian was like, yeah.
But okay, the thing is that Brian's like the overall coach, but he actually works a lot with Karen Preston, who we talked about. But remember when we watched the '92 Olympics, she actually has really good technique. She was just
explosive jumps. Like they were really springy. And you were actually posting a lot of the what was that event called? It was the one in 95, 96, not Marshall Fields. It was something...
The Champion Series final? No. I'm posting a lot of events, Jonathan.
Oh yeah, but I thought it had a company name with it.
Okay. Which
well, with Jose, where Jose Chouinard did the short program and she's like holding on by a thread.
That was the Champion Series.
That was the Champion Series. For some reason, was it also at the same time you were posting another event that had like a corporate sponsorship in the name?
So the day before we did like the I did the U.S. Postal Service.
That's what I'm thinking of. I have the Postal Service one in my mind. Okay. But even Jose, watching
so my entire
those
vision,
Canadian girls had spring and trajectory. Yeah.
My vision, because I have a gut feeling that we may not have a Junior Grand Prix or a...
Well, the Junior Grand Prix would come really early.
Senior Grand Prix. So I feel like I have all of these videos that I put, and there are some people that say, why don't you do it on a different channel? So here's my vision, is that we talk about all of these people, and we reference them, and we do interviews. And I would love to do an interview and link to the person's playlist where you could literally go down and watch every little thing.
And in that, that's amazing that you have the playlist. So, I mean, I was reading some comments where someone said, I only like the this and that, so I don't want to watch the old stuff. Then go to the this and that playlist.
Yes,
and then
29,000 people have. So, over time. It's like, and like other people like don't, but it's okay. Like, it's just a new way of doing things, and you know what, you build it and they will come and they'll get it over time. So it's a
100%.
change.
It was fun. Like I went down a total rabbit hole with that Champions Series final. Like suddenly you're watching everybody and you're watching, and it's really informative to also that hindsight of knowing what happens in the future and then going back and watching those pivotal.
So I just posted Brian Orser at the 93 Challenge of Champions, which is an interesting event because in my mind, all of the pro events always had a technical program and an artistic program, but the Challenge of Champions was a one and done, and then they would show exhibitions. So, and because Dick produced the event, John Misha Petchkovich would be commentating. So it's interesting. And remember, like, they all had that trophy that they passed down from Dick to John Misha to Paul Wiley, and you could tell they love Paul Wiley. So, and all the Harvard connections. So anyway, it was just that Ulrich Saukow trophy, right? Isn't that what they passed down? Yeah. So but in the Kiss and Cry with Brian Orser, young Doug Haw, like brown, rich, like flowy hair.
Oh, I have to, because when you were posting the Postal Service one and the thumbnail had Frank in the video, and he's almost unrecognizable, that version of Frank to me.
No. Frank.
I can't imagine a Doug Haw of that era. That would be
I think
fun.
Frank 96 Worlds is why I love turtleneck so much. I mean, I think he literally made me my inner piano teacher. Piano, right?
Amazing. Okay.
So, yeah, I just love the era so much. So,
okay.
But I actually have I have the Mao and stuff Grand Prix final, and I thought, like, should I mix it up by skaters and mix up eras, or should I do this era and just get through it and then do the next ones? So we'll see.
Either way, we're here for it.
Yeah, so we have months to come. So it's...
Just saying, yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling. So I wanted to talk to you about that because the ISU did announce events for the Senior Bs and the Junior Grand Prix, and it seems like the ISU really wants to push these events to happen. And the more they push, the less I can see them really happening. Like, I can't...
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're an organization, especially you're dealing with a lot of organizations at play here. You're an international sporting situation. So you're going to have to rely on the governments of each of those athletes' home countries. You're going to have to deal with the host countries. You're going to have to deal with certain continental unions and how they're dealing with things. Like, it could be a real mess. And as we'll talk about with our friend Tatiana Tarasova, like, who is training and when? And who is training under the radar and when? And who is following guidelines and not training? You know, I mean, this is a really big question. So I think you have to plan like it's happening on the off chance that it is, because I think you're right. Something like the Junior Grand Prix, in my opinion, seems far too soon. Like, okay, yeah, you could get the event up, but if people are really following protocols like they're supposed to be following them, those junior skaters aren't getting the new material. And then they were saying, right, if you were a junior and you were going to season out, right, and have to be a senior, they were going to allow you to remain a junior one more time as long as you maintain the same programs, right?
I didn't read the part about the programs. That is confusing.
That was my... Now, I could be completely wrong, but the article I was reading said that they could stay junior one more year.
I get that. I don't get what
they
your
kept the same material. I don't know why either. If they felt like they didn't get enough mileage out of that or something, that part seems weird.
I mean, that's really for a lot of like the pair and dance teams or the Torgashevs that are going. I mean, whatever. I mean, who knows? I mean, it could. Yeah. The thing is that so it's interesting because I work in healthcare, and originally in my department, I worked in a department like different departments in my company have different work from home policies, and I moved from a department where people had one set work from home day when I was in legal to a department where people didn't really work from home, and then they had it where you could request on, like, say you have a doctor's appointment or something, but like it was to, like, you know, discretionary, right? So but now, like, people don't want to go in. You know, we have people in my department in their 50s or 60, and, you know, like, they don't want to. And now the department's like, you know, we may not need to go back until Q4. Like the leadership was saying. And I was like, you know, that's a long time to be home. But, like, mentally to try to, like, prepare yourself for it, to be like, okay, this is the new normal. I may be like not living with my parents, but like I may be back in my apartment, but it'll be
right.
Several months at least. And I do think like, are people going to want to be in the stands? And if people aren't going to be in the stands, it's very expensive.
Well, that was always the sad thing about the junior Grand Prix anyway, is no one was in the stands. It was just Ted.
To host like 7 of them plus those events, like do you really need all those events for the whole series? Like,
what, and do you want your child traveling and staying in hotels over in Estonia or something?
Athletes are the first ones that will likely go back and rough it. I mean, their window of opportunity in realistic is so short, and they have to get ready for an Olympic Games, and that's kind of the thing that's going. I mean, I'm wondering, are the 2021 Olympics going to happen if there is this second wave, and we don't know about whether or not heat will make the virus go away because people are getting infected in India and things like that. So you wonder, like, it's not going away, like these things that we hear. And then I was listening to the Daily podcast. That's how I get my news in the morning. And because remember, we've talked about Hoda Kotb. I think she's a lovely woman, and phony, and it's triggering.
Yeah.
Anyway, they had an economist on who was saying, in Georgia in 3 weeks, they could be back to where they were before with this. And all of this.
Well, with any of these things, it's every date, and this is hard. Where are we talking about skating? Yeah. Where are we talking? Who knows?
And I'm every not rooting for Georgia to be back into where they were in 3 weeks, and I hope that they're not, because I would like to enjoy. Because
that would
summer,
be terrible. But yeah,
family,
of course. Everyone wants it to be over, but I mean, it's a question of when you're an organization like the ISU, dealing with every different government and all this sort of thing, like many people are, you're just kind of like taking a stab in the dark here and
I have
saying,
mentally prepared myself that it could be bleak. And here's another thing. They were saying that unemployment could go up to 16%. If that happens, I don't know if so many people are going to go ice skating, and who knows what will happen with a lot of this stuff. I mean, that's a very real possibility.
Well, 100%, like...
Who stays in the sport and who gets out? I mean, we may have some dwindling numbers, right?
Charlie, just on a whim. But I mean, like, you have to come to terms with it. Didn't we lose an ice dance team also? Didn't we lose?
We lost McNamara and Carpenter.
Yeah. This could be that final push.
I think you're going to see who really wants it. I mean, because we may not have the kind of season next year that people are used to, frankly. So Ashley Kane and Tim LeDuc posted that video of all the different U.S. pairs, and it was cool. And then you're like, well, why is this pair in it and not this pair? But whatever. But, there were pairs in there, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, in Corona, there's, sometimes we're snarky and like, Jonathan, why are these people still skating? And like,
yeah,
I do wonder it, but like, out of all times now, I'm like, why is Nate like still skating with this new partner? And they want to be done in 2022. Like,
here? Yeah,
can you just not? Are you just not mentally ready to move on? Because you're going in debt, honey. Like, this is rough. Yeah. It's not going to happen with a new partner now. Like, I'm already wondering, do Alexa and Brandon have enough time? At least they're training together off ice already to get that, simpatico together. And the pairs that aren't yet, it's like, what are you doing?
Right. I mean, do you believe that there are people that are still training, like Tatiana was sort of alluding to?
Yeah. Look, we don't know. Like, okay. Anywhere where there is a private ice, there's more of a shot. Okay.
No, of course, yeah.
But because we've been off for so long, many of the rinks actually got rid of the ice just to save money because it costs money.
Why would you be cooling all of that up 100%?
So, and a lot of these rinks, usually once a year, they'll bring a surface down to the cement anyway to like clean and repaint and then bring the ice back up. And it's like a 1 to 2 week process. So a lot of these rinks, there's, who was I talking to the other day? But one of the places were saying that like out of a 4-surface rink, one of the surfaces still has ice and the others don't. And in some of them, you know, they were using them for storage or morgues in some places or wherever. But I mean, it's true that there's not a lot, you know, of business reason to keep ice going. And then it, you know, it's going to take a while. It's going to be, I think around here, like they're starting to talk about rinks maybe opening, but then it's like, maybe not yet. And maybe that's like June, July, like, yeah, you could do lessons maybe, but if you're having lessons and not public session or hockey games, like, is it even going to be that profitable?
But we've talked to so many people in the past about how far they are already by this point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Program's done, choreography this, you know, jumps, new elements that. Like already at this point, it seems, you know, we started seeing people in June with their new material. So I do
have a lot of feelings about this. Just seeing like my own workouts and so you can't get in like, you can get in great physical shape. Nothing will replace skating a program, but there will be skaters who will say that they aren't, you know, they miss so much time for Corona when they do compete, and that will be a crutch. I think the ones who are really disciplined and working hard and trying to improve their fitness, their flexibility, working on their jumps off ice, and really like taking dance classes, doing all of that stuff now, and will come out ahead. But I think a lot of those skaters are the skaters who would normally be doing that, right?
Right.
And it seems
it's
like
not really just because this opportunity's arisen. Yeah.
Right. They're just making adjustments, right?
Yeah.
So like it seems like the Montreal skaters have classes that go on all day long, the way that they would have different lessons all day long. And I do think that there are some schools that got, you know, more equipped for that sooner than others, and it's interesting to kind of watch that. Although I wonder what Nathan is doing, because he's one of those who he does work hard, but he also trains smart and then will get ready when he needs to and then focus on school when he needs to. So
well, there was that like kind of fluffy piece that he like got accredited as a coach or something, right?
Oh, isn't yeah. So for but he has helped out and different skaters doing different stuff. So it'll be kind of.
But again, just like with him training at school, this is clearly someone who can do self-motivating and provide structure when it isn't there inherently. You know what I mean? It's people who rely on it otherwise. For instance, someone like Shoma, he was off to such a rocky start, kind of found his way and his structure and his focus again. And
I'm very curious how that's going.
I'm very curious what happens to someone who is in that kind of jostled mindset and needs struggles to maintain that focus. Mm-hmm. You know, that this could potentially be a more difficult time to stay on track with things.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to Fleur Maxwell because she does her Body by Fleur and you know, people doing off-ice jumps, but then there are some coaches that you see exclusively really focusing on the off-ice jumps, but then she was talking about all the different exercises for your body to get ready to do harder things than you could before. And it's like, I think that those skaters, the ones that really focus on like improving their overall physical capabilities, are the ones that will really come out ahead. Like the ones.
Could you imagine if Megan Duhamel was still competing? She would have a dissertation 50 pages long of muscle groups she was going to isolate off this ice because it was going to help her rotate this jump. I mean, you could absolutely still make this time beneficial, and people like her would have. She's the biggest example I can think of.
I already feel like in my own skating, because I was getting, you know, coming back, getting ready to compete again, and you know, it certainly has thrown a wrench in, but then I've also gotten more organized, and then, you know, working on, so Igor teaches a off-ice learn to skate class on Saturday when we would normally be working on like some moves anyway, and in that kind of class we kind of do like, you know, like rockers and different, it's kind of like an edge class with different edge combinations rather than just like an edge class where you work on getting in your knees. It's like kind of a Russian edge class where you would do like twizzle rocker counter or, you know, like that kind of a combinations. So, which apparently Tarasova used to do, and they would like do it in the morning and then put together for footwork sequences, all these different stuff that people had practiced before. And you know, doing it off ice and like really working on the positioning on each move to kind of perfect it. Like there's a lot of stuff that even developing skaters can do that probably gets overlooked a lot. So
Totally.
And then again, like connecting with the ballet training and everything, like there's a lot that I think a lot of skaters could be doing. And I think that actually the USFS should probably, if they were more forward thinking, I mean, they should probably have like an elite conditioning class and an elite online jump class and an elite
performance psychology
or, you know, sports psychology, or just like psychology to get through right now. And then flexibility, you know, for athletes and skaters and stuff like that, because I mean, it's also hard because you need to keep paying the coaches to keep everyone in business, but it's going to be very difficult financially for a lot of these skaters if they can't make money from shows and things like that for the foreseeable future. So they kind of need to work around, and it would be interesting if, you know, now would be the time to get organized, being like, all right, so we are going to condition, you know, all the intermediate and novice, you know, boys together, you know, every day at 9 a.m. You know, I think that kind of thing would be, you know, to work on your jump technique and your, I mean, now is the time.
100%.
I am sure Atari, whether they are on the ice or off or on part-time, whatever the situation is, I am sure that
they have figured something out.
I'm sure that they have a system in what they are doing that is very organized and doing all those exercises and things like that because, but yeah, I do wonder, you know, I don't think this time will necessarily make Amber Glenn ready to do a long program unless she's determined as anything to do that. So I think, and how do you think, like, how is Vincent Zoe doing? He's been very quiet. So
yeah, and it was, I mean, talk about momentum. You know, a lot of these people, and then Tarasova was saying that. She said, you know, the people that really suffer, she was basically, are those three. Are the people that just turned and were trying to take advantage of a time.
Yeah.
And it's really tough. And Vincent, like, had kind of this amazing time off, did just the right thing at Nationals that had us all intrigued to tune into Worlds. You know, I'm sure he was working towards it. And then you're like, now what? What a confusing time.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see who
emerges and wins.
But again, I was in that thing there. One of the good parts is there was a point with Satoko in the telethon, and she was saying like she's doing Pilates and this and that and her studies and working on this. And I thought like she's one of the people that asked Vina would being like, okay. No, I didn't hear her say that she was working on her off-ice jumps as much, and I was like, oh, you know, that's important too. Like, really?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, just learn to jump the other way. Let's see if that fixes it. At this point, what have you got to lose?
We did see Gabby Daleman was talking about entering pageants. I mean, Jonathan, are the pageants going on? Like, what was going on? I don't even know. People send me
I'm supposed to judge Miss South Carolina for Miss America, by the way, and she was talking about, I think, Miss Universe.
Well, are we going to, like, do our runway walk, like, in a hallway, in our upstairs? Like, how are we doing this?
No idea.
Because that would be entertaining.
So hers was going to be, like, you know, Miss America, again, they don't do the swimsuit anymore, stuff like that. But I know she was in definitely a fitness-minded one, so I don't know if she's just working on that. Or...
Also, so it was so interesting, because the personalities, like, who the skaters are really came across in that telethon when... Gabriela Papadakis sang in this, playing the guitar and like a beautiful French, like sweet voice.
I thought it has sometimes French speakers have this kind of flutter, this like faster vibrato.
Yeah,
and it kind of had this like Edith Piaf singer-songwriter cute.
Have you heard like Zooey Deschanel sing, where she's like a pleasant voice? It's not like a
it's not like the voice of an angel, but there's something sweet about it, and there's something charming about the way they.
For like a movie, someone could sing in a scene, and you'd be like, "Oh, that was really nice." That was
100%. I felt that about her singing. Miki Ando, and the other week, maybe less so. But
Dylan
this
Moskovich, I was like, narcissist.
That was a nightmare. That was a chamber of horrors for me to listen to that short amount of time.
Just like when they dress up in their skating costumes on their show, again, horrifying. But again,
it's really uncomfortable. It's really a mess. Yeah, it's really no bueno.
So yes, so Jonathan, I will donate money if we don't have to watch any more of these telethons. I
think we got it, you guys. Like, we'd love it. You guys care. You did what you thought would help.
I don't want to see them play any games, like making a costume, 4.5 hours, like,
Well, that would never be them. That would be one of those horrible USFS, like, PR people that does those horrible videos.
Oh, no,
on
they played games on this telethon at one point.
I missed the games. Okay, thank goodness for that.
I mean, it was better than the other one. Thank God. Okay. But I really think if skaters want to make money, like, teach a class and have the proceeds go to that. Like,
yeah, you're not personalities, together. Actually. And I think it's probably a hard pill to swallow. You're tremendous, as some would like to remind you in every fitness video. They are an Olympic athlete.
Yes, I did a Zach Donahue class. And I had heard from some people that train in Montreal that, you know, they've changed since they went to the Olympics, right? People change, right? And his exercises were actually quite good. And I think Zach will go to work in fitness when he's done. It seems a real passion for him.
Yeah.
But he kept referencing how many times that he's gone to the Olympics. And I was thinking, like, so Kristen and Igor are hosting this, and they've gone to more Olympics than you have. So, like, what are you...
Right. What's up? What's going on with it?
And like, Tim Gable taught a class the other week, and he was a medalist, and he never referenced.
Well, Zach should have been, but
going to the Olympics, and he kept being like talking about how many dips he could do. I could do 50 without breaking a sweat, but I'm an Olympic athlete. You know, we struggle in Montreal doing this. I mean, we're Olympic athletes, and we can't. You know, but he kept bringing it up, and I was like, oh,
okay.
We've got a problem. Like, there's. So, Jonathan, I think that we should list all of our accomplishments from like.
Just a nonstop, as a precursor to anything that comes out of our mouth next,
And then, so sometimes people forward me things, like I'm always getting the Scott Hamilton emails from people, where you're like, I got another Zach Donahue class. There's going to be in Maryland. He's teaching a dance class, and you can ask Zach questions.
Oh.
And
well, didn't you try to get him to do that like celebrity singogram or whatever? What's that little thing where like a celebrity can like cameo? That's what I'm thinking.
But yeah, it's interesting. I still like him. He's just...
Of course. You kind of love him in a way, but you probably know that if you're training with him in Montreal, there's also another way to look at him.
It's kind of like that Roman Sadovsky video where he talked about how he missed being on the ice. And I felt for him, but then someone sent it to me and I gave an honest response to her. And then I was like, oh my God, this woman's Canadian. And then she's like, and he's from my section, which like, just because someone's from New Jersey doesn't mean I like them, by the way.
Of course, I've never understood that
mentality. I might know them and like them less, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly. Quite the opposite, really, yeah.
But the video was so dramatic. He was way more likable in the second half, where he was just talking about it, and it was for some competition, but again, these skaters don't realize, like, so people are dying in the ER, and then you're going to talk about how much you miss skating, and it's like, yes, but big picture, you know? Like,
yes, and, yeah. It's a tricky line to walk.
Yeah. Maybe we need 4.5 hours of a telethon.
And that was the other thing. It's like, I don't know that I needed to see, you know,
but
that
I do
much
say
of every
that I think that Caitlin Weaver will be like a good coach and an organizer and has things, like she has her act.
She has a temperament, like it's easygoing and she'll go with the flow. But yes, I understand what you mean. As the interviewer, if you're a little bit held, it's hard for there to be kind of a free-flowing thing going on.
Also, Ashley's starting a podcast to talk about... Okay, this is where skaters are in a bubble and full of themselves. And as much as Ashley can entertain us, you're starting a podcast to talk about your feelings about retiring. Honey, who gives a shit? Like, honestly, you've been retired for a while.
Yeah, that's a part of your story, but it's time to create, like, a new narrative.
And just to talk about transitions that you don't... Like, that's a lot of us... That's a lot of nothing.
She didn't do any in her programs.
But that's a lot of hot air, Jonathan. Like, as to what she was trying to do on her blog.
It's that struggle. What do you do with that cachet?
She needs
what do you do with that resume?
Ashley has a talent, and I think she could be a really good podcaster. But she should interview people and dig deep and read books and more than just talking about the next transition. Like, don't be easy. Go make it a passion and make it a real project, not just like a...
And not on the surface just about yourself. It's selling yourself
short.
How
she presented it
is a good conversationalist also,
How she presented it, I was like, oh my God. That's not going to work, honey.
I look forward to not watching that.
I look forward to not...
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Like, that's...
Yeah.
Someone goes, should we listen to it? I'm like, no. Like...
Yeah, not worth it. You know what I mean? That's the thing about some of these things is it's not so bad, but it's not tolerable either. And she's got a thing. She has a thing, and she just has to find it.
Yeah.
The best vehicle for it.
I'll give her suggestions. I mean, I think it would be interesting to hear her talk to other athletes and
well, she's been a great role
performers
model. I mean, there's girl power stuff that she's been a part of. She's been an outspoken supporter of gay rights. I mean, she has so many things going.
I think if
for
she
it
stuck through to often like got really authentic, it could be good, but it would have to go deeper than.
Well, and it's scary. It's clearly scary for her to be that vulnerable about it.
But I actually think that she could interview Gracie Gold about how you're training.
But in a real way, not
Yes.
in a, we're sisters. And,
We're sisters, and you're so great. Because Caitlin Weaver would be
Yeah.
like, Jeff, you're so brilliant, and you're so nice, and you're so this. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, Caitlin, we're bored. Okay, like,
yeah, we're looking for something authentic. And if they both provided it, would be very exciting.
I do think Ashley may be too close as an interviewer, where if Gracie's gonna be like, so I'm doing trading goes really well, and she being like, so how well? Like really?
Yeah, like what do you mean? Isn't it terrible? What the hell happened with Vincent? Like, yeah.
Yeah, like that's what people want to listen to. They don't want to listen to you blowing smoke up on each other, and that's where I think skaters, like Dylan starting a YouTube channel, it's like, well, that's you don't have anything to say. Like,
What's your perspective here? Yeah. The song was really tough. That was a
really tough
pill to swallow.
But I do think that some of these, like Tarasova was saying, I think some of these countries, if they can do it, and they can put everyone in a quarantine spot and just have them be together, you probably should also get cameras because we really want to see what happens. But, I mean...
Yeah, because it's really the living situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, because some of my teaching engagements this summer, I mean, that's the major concern is what the dormitory kind of situation would be.
Who's
and I
going
would
to feed
imagine
you,
in these
and
big,
who's going to pay for it?
yeah, the training hubs. It's got to be a lot of communal living. That's
But guess what? If you did do a Russian training center and you needed to fund it, hello, put on an exhibition every Friday night and charge money to watch it on a paid thing on YouTube.
Instead of all these people singing songs all of a sudden, like have them go skate solo and stream it live. Like I would totally watch that.
Whether it's for fundraising or to pay for your training or whatever. So
Either way, yeah, exactly.
also, and Tarasova was saying you have to be careful because you can get hurt off ice, which is true. Especially, you think about people like when they sprain ankles and stuff. I remember, like different people have gotten hurt just in gymnastics, like walking, and they tripped on mats and sprained something because your body, just the way it is.
Well, it was interesting because Sherbakova in her interview was talking about she refuses to do quads off the ice.
Yeah.
And all this sort of stuff, but she will try her triple axel off the ice.
Oh, and it was so funny. So one of the members of the adult skating group that takes from my coaches is a former Hasidic, and she took Tom Z's jump class. And like there's a certain like just like directness that comes from when people are like not fully of like the skating hot air, right? And she was like,
Right,
so I went
okay.
to take Tom Z's class. He spent 45 minutes showing Mariah's video and talking about how great his work with her was. And then he finally got to maybe 15 minutes of exercise. I'm like, that sounds
Of actual
right.
information. I know, but to be honest, like I've read the occasional like book on mindfulness or whatever, and I always feel the same about self-help books. Like they drive me nuts because the first half of the book is telling you why it's good you have the book, and the book is amazing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, get to the substance. Like, come on now. Even when you would hear these great interviews with incredible coaches, and they were like, they just really had to believe it, and they just really had to want to win. And I was like, that is such utter nonsense. I want actual technical information from you right now.
Well, I was talking to gymnast Gigi Marino, who was on the Georgia team, and we were sitting watching an event because we were back at the regionals, and she was talking about coaching, and she goes, Dave, coaching is a BS art.
I think so.
She's like, there are people that have technical information, and there are those who are really good at BSing you to
Right.
work harder and believe it.
And as a student, sometimes you don't know the difference.
Yeah.
Someone could give you the answer, but someone else tells you they have the answer, and only they have the answer, and they have the only right answer, and you totally drink that Kool-Aid. I mean, that's part of what that Tom thing is, although I think he clearly can teach.
I think that when someone is
Some
overly
great jumping.
into marketing, like so excessively, it's red flag.
100 red flag. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I saw Corey 8 and Jason were doing flexibility classes together.
That was interesting because they weren't talking for a while. So now everyone's back together for...
That's what I noticed at this. Yeah, he's really hitting that internet market these days.
And it was she who wasn't talking to him. So
yeah.
But she seems to be building her brand. You know, they were quiet because she's working with Scott Hamilton, and now they're using this time to get good guests
promote
in
that,
and
yeah.
promote and move ahead. So
she was never going to go away, but she was going to lay low for a while until sort of she could rewrite the narrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
She does have a talent, I will say. She's,
at that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. She knows how to brand and move it on. So it was, I will.
What a gem.
She's an interesting one. Other people, they interest me less. Like Tom Z, I'm not interested.
Right.
He actually probably might have like decent information on Axel. I can't sit through an hour of BS. So.
Yeah.
Like,
or periodization.
Yeah, that you don't follow, that you don't even like do. So
well, in the same way, like, you know, some of these people, if you are going to answer your phone, your arm is going to go down and pick it up, and you're going to put it up to your ear, and you're going to start talking. Are you going to micromanage every part of that, or are you just going to instinctively do some stuff? And that was Tom. Seemed like the desire to micromanage, write it down, overanalyze.
You think he might be controlling?
One might say, but and it's like if you just go with the flow and be natural, half this stuff takes care of itself, I would assume.
Yeah. Well, we saw Danny lift Tara Kane, and her head hit that poor light on the ceiling. I mean, these are the kind of accidents that happen at home.
Just saying.
Anyway, we wanted to, you know, maybe bring some levity, some...
Yeah, just touch and base. Remind each other that the skating people are still out there.
They're still as ridiculous as ever.
As ever.
Brandon was teaching Alexa some of his Haven lifts. You know, everyone's watching that. But, hey, I bet it looks okay. It's going to be an interesting thing. Together.
It's just, you're just hungry to get them to start working.
We just really need them to go to Renee Roca. They just really have got to really do anything they can to have a distinct look, distinct shapes.
As you figure out who you borrow from, keep that part of the Brandon equation.
Renee Roca.
100%.
Alexa, Renee Roca. Alexa, Renee Roca.
Just do it.
For at least one program, you can use Benoit for another. They're both very talented, but get like some distinct point of views. You want to look different and build your confidence.
An identity right out the gate.
Yes. Build 100%. The confidence. We'll all
be thankful.
We'll be so happy with you, Alexa. You'll love that.
Yeah, we really will. Give it all the
Anyway, hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.